students, it's Mrs. Miller. I hope everyone is healthy and happy. I am excited to get started on our very first distance learning and want to welcome you to our first distance learning art challenge video. Each week, I'll be posting a new art challenge video for you to complete. The challenge will be explained and demonstrated in a video, and the assignment criteria will be posted in our Google Classroom. I will give you a due date and expect you to submit your artwork by taking a photograph of it and uploading your image to the Google Classroom. I understand that some of you might have limited drawing materials, so I'll keep our challenges simple. Our first art challenge today for week number 1 is called Making Art with Stuff from Your Home. So let's get started. Okay, so week 1 art challenge is making art with stuff from your home. So in this assignment, you are going to be creating art from using items around your home, like food, and also you're going to be looking at some nature and incorporating both of those ideas into creating a piece of art. So you can go to the Google Classroom and you can take a look at the week 1 art challenge, where the assignment sheet is there with all of the appropriate steps. So step number 1 is you want to take a look at the example worksheet number 1 and decide on at least 8 items that you might have in your home that you can paint with. You can also use any other materials that are not listed on example worksheet number 1. So some of the examples on the worksheet are maybe you have some food coloring, some Kool-Aid, balsamic vinegar, makeup, nail polish, icing, coffee, mustard, anything like that. You're also going to take a look at example worksheet number 2, where you're going to choose a couple of different tools that you can paint with. Some of you might not have paint brushes, so you're going to have to be a little bit creative, and looking at this worksheet will help you make decisions as to what kind of tools you might want to use in order to move forward in this project. Okay, so welcome to step 2. So on step 2, what you're going to do is you're going to explore and you're going to experiment with a variety of different examples of materials that you think you might be able to paint with. So what I've done is I've gone around my house and I've found some things that I think that I could use to actually paint with. So Tim Hortons coffee, my little Keurig, I've got some Jell-O, an OXO packet, chicken, I'm hoping it'll be like a yellow color for me, cayenne pepper, I'm hoping that's going to look really interesting and neat. I've got some nail polish as well that I'm going to try out. I went to my fire pit and grabbed a piece of coal, and I've got some food coloring, some different colors of food coloring as well. So what I've done is I have grabbed a plate that looks like this. Makes a really great palette. It's a meat tray or chicken tray. And what I do is I wash it and bleach it and then dry it off, and it makes a really great paint palette. So what I've done is I have added my materials to my palette. So this is my Jell-O, this is my food coloring, my coffee, my cayenne pepper, a green Jell-O, the OXO chicken. I've got my little bit of coal from the back from my wood pile. And then I've got my nail polish. So what I'm going to do then is one of the other materials is I've boiled some hot water and put it into a container. So that way I think it'll help me be able to spread my materials a little bit better. Part of the tools that were expected from you were to experiment with 2 different types of tools. So I've gotten some straws and I've gotten a knife, And then I have a paintbrush. If you don't have a paintbrush, you can use your fingers or try to do the best that you can and see what you can do if you do not have a paintbrush. Okay, so the next step that I did was I grabbed my sketchbook or a regular piece of paper is fine, and I created a title. Then what I did is I created 8 shapes that I'm going to experiment with my artwork on. And then what I did is I created a value scale that I'm going to choose one of my materials to see if I can get a value change. On your worksheet, it's going to ask you to create a value scale that's 15 centimeters by 3 centimeters. You don't have to make circles. You can make squares or shapes or whatever it is that you want. You can be as creative as you'd like. Okay, so our next step is with our boiling water and our materials, we're going to try to experiment with these materials. So first off, I'm going to use my paintbrush. I'm going to dip it in some water and I'm going to try the red jello first. So I'm going to pull this off, and then there's might be some texture on here, which looks like it's going to happen. This is really exciting. It's turning a really nice red color. It smells really good. And then I'm going to apply this to my page. So I'm going to try to get a big chunk of it. This looks lovely and it smells delicious. It's like scented art. And I don't know how this is going to dry. This is the first time I've ever painted with Jello. So that's what's great about this is I'm being creative and I'm trying to figure things out. Oh, that looks nice. I like that texture. Okay, so number 1, I'm going to leave those little crystals in there and see what that's like. And I'm going to do my labeling after. I'm going to start next with my chicken broth, see what that's going to look like. I'm washing off my brush in my hot water. And again, I've boiled my water just because I think it'll dissolve the materials a little bit better. I'm not using a ton of it. Ooh, the chicken stock looks pretty good. It's got like a nice yellow, and now I've got a nice chicken smell going on. And then there's a little bit of texture in that as well, but I really like that color. I'm going to move into the cayenne pepper. Oh, sorry. The cayenne pepper. And then I'm going to mix that around. It's going to give me a really nice orange look. I feel like this is going to look really cool. Mixing that around. Oh, that's lovely. And then that's quite nice. Like that. Fill that in. Add a little bit more water. Looks awesome. Okay, next I'm going to try my coffee. Wash off my brush. Grab my coffee. I kind of expected my coffee to be the best, but I don't know. Kind of like the cayenne pepper. So here's my coffee. I'm going to try to melt it a little bit. Maybe instant coffee might be a bit better. I don't have any, but maybe you guys do. I'm going to start to fill in my coffee. That gives me a really nice color as well. And then that's got some texture, which I quite like as well. Oh, like that. Okay, so there's my coffee. I am then going to move on to my neon food coloring. I've picked a blue. This is probably going to be the easiest to work with because it's like an ink, I would imagine. Oh yeah, that looks really nice. And what I can do is to change my value, of course, most of you know this, is I could probably water this down a little bit. I can. And that's going to give me a different value tone, which is quite lovely as well. And I can do that the same with my other materials, but I'm going to have to wait for them to dry. Okay, so next on my list is, I'll do my green Jello. I just want to see, ooh, nice color. My green looks amazing. I'm going to add my green Jello. Smells lovely. And then I'm going to fill that in here. I don't know what's going to look like. I could maybe overlay some of these and see what happens. To do some mixing. The more creative you are, the better off you're going to be. And there's my green. And then I'm going to try with my charcoal from my back fire pit. I'm just going to fill that in. I'm actually not even going to use my brush. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I can do a lot of work with this. That's great. So I'm going to fill that in. That looks awesome. And then I'm going to maybe smudge it a little bit, see how that's going to go. That looks great. And then my last experiment is going to be with my nail polish. And I'm going to fill in my nail polish. Oh yeah, that looks awesome. Really fun. So I'm going to do half with my nail polish. And then the other half, I'm going to add water. I'm not sure what that's going to look like, but I'm going to try it and see if that'll blend for me. And it does. Amazing. Not super great, but not too bad. Okay, next up then is, once I finish this, is we're going to experiment with a couple of different tools in case you don't have a paintbrush at home. So now that I've completed working on all of my 8 different materials, you'll notice that I went and labeled them all with the different food and materials. So my next step is to take my value scale. We talked about it being 15 centimeters long by 3 centimeters. If you don't have a ruler at home, that's fine. Do the best that you can. And we know that a value scale starts at 0 and moves to 4. And my job now is, as an artist, is to create a little bit of value with these materials. So I'm going to pick coffee. That's why I chose coffee art as my title. You may want to think about your title after you did your demonstration. So again, I've got hot water, boiling water. I'm going to go back to my palette. And this might take me a little bit of time because what I need to probably do is allow things to dry and over to layer them up. If you have a similar value to some of your images or sort of some of your materials, you can layer them together. So for instance, my cayenne pepper and my coffee kind of go okay together, and my OXO chicken and my coffee kind of go together. So I might want to consider using those to see if I can get a value change. So I'm going to go ahead and start to layer and see if I can darken this up. So I finished up my experiment. I did go over with, I went a little crazy with my nail polish. I added extra nail polish. I have a couple different values in here. I did some dotting with my nail polish over top of my food coloring. Once the cayenne pepper dried, I did go over it to darken it a little bit. And then with my value scale, I've used coffee, I've used cayenne pepper, and I've used the OXO chicken packet, and I've applied water to get it a little bit lighter. And then, so this is the same kind of family. So this is what I'm going to use for my next step, where I'm going to be creating a piece of artwork that is using some objects and ideas from nature, like flowers and pine cones and leaves. And then I'm going to finalize that with a different type of a foreground. So our next step is step 3. Now that you have finished your demonstration, your next step is to create a piece of artwork. You're going to find images from nature like flowers or pine cones, leaves, rocks, anything, and create a pattern. The pattern you should be drawing out really lightly, and once you've drawn out your pattern, then you're going to be painting those objects with your materials. You can use multiple materials or just one, it's up to you, but try to make sure that you are trying to show some value. So let your objects dry and then go over top of them to see if you can get some darker value tones to your work. Once your background is dry, then your next step is to find a large image that is reflective of nature. You can see here that I've chosen a willow tree branch that I have drawn large over top of my background. This is creating a really interesting overlap and foreground to my work. Then what I did was I grabbed a marker. You can use marker, pen, pencil, crayon, pencil, anything that you have at home. And you're going to fill in that larger object to create a really interesting abstract design. Step number 4 is to complete your week 1 reflection that you can find on the Google Classroom. There are 4 questions on this document that you will be expected to answer either in a Google document or a Word document, and then submit it into the Google Classroom on the expected due date. Well, that's it for week 1 art challenge. The final due date is Wednesday, April the 15th at 9 a.m. And don't forget to submit all 3 of your pieces onto the Google Classroom. Your paint experiment chart, take a photo of it and submit it. Your artwork, take a photo of it and submit it. And your final reflection, type it up in a document and submit it on the Google Classroom. Don't forget, everybody, that creativity is nothing but a mind set free. See you next week.